Hey guys, welcome to, well, my indoor garden. I thought it'd be a great day to take you outside to the outdoor garden and show you around a little bit and show you what's looking really great despite the horrific heat we've had in the Chicago area and across much of the country actually. But we've hit some record temperatures. It's been brutal out there. And despite that, there are things going on just beyond this window. And that's why this is my workstation today. I'm at my dining room table with my lovely monstera and several other houseplants. But this window has a view to some of my favorite things, and a couple of these things directly out here have been flowering all summer long, and there's no end in sight. And I thought those are things that are worth talking about, because things that can perform like that with very little work from me, that are pollinator friendly and beautiful even at the end of the season, are really valuable plants in the garden, because I don't want to work more than I have to. And if I've got perennials and shrubs out there that can look great and not ask too much of me, sign me up, right? So let's go outside, and there's several things I want to show you, because there are things that are looking just gorgeous, and I thought you might want to see that. Okay, let's go outside. By late August, early September, plants in the garden are looking pretty toasty, and that's not unusual. But there are a lot of things in the garden that look really awesome and really hit their stride at this time of the year. And there's one plant, there are a few plants in particular, just beyond my dining room windows, which I'm going to flip this around in a moment and show you what I'm talking about, that every morning I wake up and I just marvel at these little roses. They are so productive, and I love them so much that I even suggested my mom plant them. She planted the same variety, and they just perform and perform and perform, and they don't want much from you. So I'm gonna flip this around and show you exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so I was a moment ago just sitting in my dining room here, and directly across from it, we're looking, and this is moving into my backyard, but this is this little pocket garden. It's got a full sun exposure, and this is a peach drift rose that just never knows when to stop, which is a wonderful thing for a gardener. I deadhead probably not as often as I should, and they just keep producing, and they produce these little bundles, bouquets of flowers. So these peach drift roses, there's several different colors in the series as well. I don't do anything aside from fertilizing them in the spring with some Osmocote, which is a slow release fertilizer. I do that once, and maybe if I remember, I do it again like late June, early July, but I don't think I remembered this year, and I'm still getting more and more flowers, and it doesn't look like there's any end in sight, which is a wonderful thing. I mean, look at all these buds coming on. This is peach drift. There are many different colors, and if you have trouble with roses and really frustrated with them, as I have been in the past as well, this is a really nice ground cover rose, about 1.5 feet tall, about 2 to 2.5 feet wide. I have 3 planted in this little grouping here. And I have some more work to do in this space. I've got some editing to do and some things that I want to add to it, but I certainly don't want to touch my peach drift roses. And then just beyond the peach drift roses is Pygnanthemum muticum. That is the 2025 Perennial Plant of the Year of the Perennial Plant Association, and it is a pollinator magnet. This is a wonderful plant, and despite the fact that it is a member of the mint family, it doesn't have the aggressive spreading tendencies of so many mint plants do, but look at the flowers on it. It's such an interesting plant, and it has a spearmint scent to it that it retains into the wintertime, and then these bracts have kind of a frosted look to them. Just beautiful looking, and it's a highly recommended by the Lurie Garden. So if you've never been to the Lurie Garden Chicago, I suggest you go. They plant this in mass, and with good reason, because of the pollinator magnetism that it has. So back in 2013, the Penn State University Extension did a study just to see just how pollinator friendly certain perennials were, and this was the hands down winner. And I believe this plant, over the course of a few minutes, it attracted about at least 78 different insects to it. It's that pollinator friendly, and really just a beautiful plant. So it gets to be about 3 to 4 feet tall, and it does spread by rhizomes that are easily controlled by just jamming a spade in the ground and digging out what you don't want. Really a valuable plant, especially for pollinator gardeners, and it's a native, so it's native to the eastern United States. Let's move on here. I think that's all I wanted to show you in this part of the garden. And moving this way, there's a few things in this part. This is a little kidney bean shaped garden in my front yard here. So these are anemone. This is Fall in Love Sweetly anemones that are just starting to come in flower. I planted those this year and I think I've got 5 of them in here. But the one that I want to draw your attention to is this. This is Sorbaria Mr. Mustard, or false spirea. And this is a tough plant. I'm going to back up and show you the growing situation for this. So this is a very dry site. There's an autumn blaze maple in this bed, and that really beats everything out to moisture. Despite that, I don't have to provide any supplemental watering to false spirea here. So what's beautiful about this guy is the spring coloring. It's like a Joseph's Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat, because it's just, the foliage is all these different colors, and it's not obvious right now. But the foliage colors will be pinks and jade green and lime green and oranges. Really interesting. This didn't flower this year, but the flower is very pollinator friendly. It's like a long plume that starts out white and turns to a brown. It's got some nice fall interest. I think mine didn't flower this year because I don't think it's getting enough sun. So I am going to be moving this slightly back that way where it'll get more sun. But very, very great plant for tough sites, and lots of multi-season interest with this. Let's move around to this on the other side of the garden here. But we're going to go over to my side yard garden. And actually, before we do that, let's look at this space right in here. This is just beneath my front windows, my little dry creek bed and the rain chain. But there's some pink just beyond here. And this is Shalone, or turtlehead. This is hot lips. And they look like turtles. And this comes into flower every August through September, even into early October. And it likes wetter sites. So I sited this right beneath the rain chain where it stays wet longer. It really enjoys that. And this is a shadier space. So it gets some afternoon sun, but it's very dappled because there's a crabapple tree and the house protecting it. So this is a really nice plant for late season interest and for wetter sites. So that's hot lips, turtlehead, or Shalone. And moving on this way, now I'm going to take you over to the side yard garden and show you a plant that is just a pollinator magnet, and you're going to see why in a minute. This is my Tian Shen. Look at the bumbles on this, guys. This is Tian Shen Seven Suns tree, and the bumbles cannot get enough of it. It's in flower. Isn't that beautiful? Look at those guys. And then that'll turn, those bracts will turn red, and it'll just be in the fall, you'll think it's still in flower when the red coloring shows up on the flower bracts, but it's not. It's just that fall interest that it adds. And then it's got this peeling bark that, as this gets bigger, I planted this last spring, but you can see this bark in here. There's the peeling bark on that. This is a plant from First Edition's Trees and Shrubs, and I think this is one of my favorites right now. Look at this. Incredible. And it looks like a shrub right now, but what it's going to be turned into is a multi-stemmed vase-shaped tree. And then around it is Spirabolus, or prairie dropseed. And this is the straight species. It's flowering, and the scale looks off because the Spirabolus is quite a bit bigger than the Seven Suns tree. And that's totally fine. The Seven Suns tree is going to catch up. I can't believe how quickly it's grown. That is just a beautiful plant. But the Spirabolus is flowering, and it's interesting because I enjoy the scent of those flowers, and my husband does as well, but our daughters don't care for it. And I've heard it described as kind of a popcorny scent. I don't get that from that, but I still like it nonetheless. And very pollinator, and it's got this pollinator friendly, and it's just got a really nice, graceful growth habit. So that's prairie dropseed, or Spirabolus, with the Tian Shen Seven Suns tree. Heptacodium, is that Heptacodium, I think? And then the tassel flower, this is Irish Poet, those orange flowers there. That just keeps going and it reseeds. So that's one of those great see-through plants, and just flowers and carries on. And another wonderful pollinator, it's spilling over, pollinator friendly plant, grew from seed, and it just spills over into the sidewalk. And I can't say enough about the Brent Horvath's introduction. This is the Rudbeckia, called American Gold Rush. And these, I just keep dividing these guys, and they are totally happy. Holy cow, I can't stop watching the bumbles all over my Tian Shen Seven Suns tree. And then there's soldier beetles. There's all kinds of stuff going on in here, guys. So if you're looking for a very pollinator friendly tree shrub with a lot of multi-season interest, super pollinator friendly, I can't say it enough, definitely consider Tian Shen Seven Suns tree. And then this is an example of what not to do with your zinnias. So this is what happens. These zinnias, I believe this is raspberry twist. I'm forgetting the name of it offhand, but I forgot to divide or space these properly after I direct sowed them. And so they don't get as tall as they should be. So they should have been taller than the Millennium Allium here, like maybe by a foot taller. So there would have been a really nice kind of a step up of color from the allium to the zinnia to the quickfire hydrangea. And I didn't get that because I didn't space them after they had sprouted, but they're still really cute. And let's go around this way. What do I want to show you in here? So this was something that was a test. I had this vision of my honorine Jobert anemone in here, just filling just filling this space with a backdrop of the North Pole arborvitaes. It is just too hot. So this is what honorine Jobert does in a very exposed hot site. And I didn't provide a lot of supplemental watering, although I don't know that that would have made much of a difference with this because they really get toasted, too much sun. So that's what they look like in an overexposed site. And then this is what they look like when they're getting really nice, a bit of shade and exactly what they want. Quite a difference. So we've got this nice lush growth in here and they're just about to pop. So that's honorine Jobert. So that gets a lot of morning shade and a couple hours of afternoon sun, and it seems to be exactly what they like. But there's something special behind my kindred spirit oak that I want to show you. But before we get to that, can we just talk about my Verbena bonariensis vanity from seed? I mean, this is one of my favorite things this year, and that was from seed. And yeah, with that smoke bush, still looking awesome. Another pollinator magnet. But let's go. I'm going to step through here. Be careful where I'm stepping, and show you this little area right in here. This has to be another one of my favorites. Look at those pink berries, you guys. That is Proudberry coralberry that has native roots. This is an introduction from Proven Winners. And I am loving the coloring on these berries. Look at that. Just so pretty and just so easy to grow. And the foliage is beautiful too. The foliage is kind of has sort of a rounded leaf and this elegant little growth habit. And it's covered, I mean, it's in a couple weeks, it's just gonna be loaded with pink and so easy to care for, low maintenance. It's supposed to be deer resistant, and I've had deer come through this border and they've not touched that yet. So hopefully they never touch that. But that is Proudberry coralberry, and look at all those berries about to happen. Let's go this way, and okay, and I'm just gonna give you the Vanity Verbena. Very easy to start from seed, and just a much nicer, more compact growth habit here. All right, let's go around the front, and I wanna show you what's happening. Oh, and I've got the North Pole Arb, that the middle one died, so I gotta dig that out and replace it. But I wanna show you some other things that are happening over here too. Going back this way, past those peach drift roses. Let's get one more close up with those guys because they deserve it. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but very pollinator friendly and extremely fragrant. I don't think I said that before. Such a fragrant rose, and I think it's everything a rose should be, and very disease resistant. So we're gonna go through my gate here. That should be popping too. You can see all these buds on this. That is an autumn, oh gosh, what is that called? Sweet autumn clematis. And I wouldn't recommend planting that because it's a beast and spreads easily, but I can't bring myself to take that down because in a few weeks, this is gonna be covered in white and covered in honeybees and smell so beautiful. All right, moving on. Let's go through the gate, and I'm gonna show you what I got back here that I think is really beautiful too for late season interest. In this corner is my little lime hydrangea, and he was looking so sad a few weeks ago, a few days ago even, and all the leaves were just drooping and it looked absolutely miserable. And then we got some rain. So that's little lime. And please don't look at my dahlias. I really failed with staking the dahlias this year. I was really bad at that. But what I think is most interesting is my pink chiffon Rose of Sharon that has been flowering nonstop, and it looks like it's going to keep going. We've got a lot more buds coming on it. That's from Proven Winners. Look at that flower. So it's a double flower, which means that it tends to not be, it's more sterile, I guess. I don't want to say it's completely sterile, but there's less of a chance that it's going to spread everywhere, because if you've grown Rose of Sharon before and you've got the single flowers, you know that they can drop a lot of seed, make a lot of babies, and be a royal pain in the butt. Pink chiffon, I've not experienced that with it yet, and I've had this here for probably 3 years, still flowering. And then this little guy directly down here is one of my all-time favorite plants. That's Calamintha nepeta. And this is, I call this one the United Nations of plants. I mean, it's just a pollinator plant, so pollinator friendly, and you will find every type of pollinator on these little white flowers that just keep on coming. So that's Calamintha nepeta. And then moving this way, and I probably should mention to you, this is going to be a video coming up soon, kind of a major undertaking. This is my Autumn Brilliance serviceberry, and we're going to be bidding farewell to that because I'm over it. I am tired of dealing with it, and despite its massive fruit set this year, it had a mast year, and I made a lot of jam out of it, which was the first time I ever did that. I ever had enough berries to make jam from it. It's just still miserable, and it's been that size for 15 years, you guys. So that's coming out, and I'm excited to share with you in the next couple weeks what I'll be replacing it with. And then looking this way, I showed you my patio last week. That American Gold Rush Rudbeckia is still going strong, and my Matrona sedum is just about to pop. But look at this combination of the Buddleia and the HS Date Dahlia. This is Pugster Blue with that HS Date, and then the Alyssum down below, and that Mangave. Loving that. But the Matrona sedum, which is my most favorite sedum, is about to pop. And as soon as that does, it's just blushing up now. As soon as that does, this is going to be another Pollinator Haven. I've got some Nicotiana coming back. That's just self-sown. But that's the Matrona sedum that has just been nonstop for me. I love that plant, and I've divided it and shared it multiple times. And then what else do I want to show you? Yes. If you have shade and you're looking for constant color, don't mind my hoses, I've not put them away. Definitely consider Beacon Impatiens. This is my first time planting beacons. And I think this was an island mix, and constantly flowering. And with that, I do it the same way I do with my roses. I drop in at planting time some Osmocote, slow release fertilizer. And these guys require a little more water, but they love the shade. So if you're looking for something to put in your a shadier spot, you need some color, Beacon Impatiens might be the answer. And I have that in another location as well. So let's go over this way. Those cannas just don't stop. Those are those bronze coral cannas that I shared a couple weeks ago. More of the Matrona sedum. Gosh, it's so beautiful with the Biden's Campfire Marshmallow. Lots of pollinators here. This is going to be a hot spot in just a few weeks. And the Angelonia, this needs to be, this is looking pretty raggedy. And so you guys, see that? The bunnies are not afraid of me anymore. They're just used to me. Nobody fears me anymore. I have a problem. They just don't. Anyway, as I was saying, so I cut back my Boom Chocolata geranium several weeks ago as well. It's flowering again. Oh, it flowered again, actually. It threw up a bunch of flower stalks, and I'm loving the foliage on that. It's got a really nice mounding habit. And then just beyond here is my Angel Dance Angelonia. And you guys, I do not water this at all, and it doesn't stop. I use the Osmocote at planting time and watered it in. I have watered it a couple times since, but in the last couple weeks it's not gotten any supplemental watering. And the flowers, it never says stop. And I think it's definitely one that if you're looking for a full container. It looks great in a container, but I think it looks really great in the ground. And I've got some wisteria. My wisteria reseeded. I let the pods drop, and I've got wisteria coming up in here too. So needs a little cleaning up, but you guys get the general idea. So that is Angelonia Angel Dance purple bicolor. And there's another one, it's fuchsia bicolor too, is available, but the purple bicolor, I love my purple. And then some more of this is beacon coral impatient here, planted beneath my ivory silk tree lilac with some wee hydrangea, looking so pretty. And then my vanilla strawberry hydrangea that started out as a shrub years ago, and I trained it into a multi-stem tree. And then I'm doing something special with this area in here. I'm turning it, I'm gonna redo that, so things are gonna be taken out, and that'll be for another video. But that is vanilla strawberry hydrangea. Look at the size. This is from First Editions. And I think I planted this, oh gosh, this might be in here 7 years, something like that. Flowers are really big. And hydrangeas look so beautiful. In a small space garden, I try to give them a backdrop of green because it makes those flowers pop. Now, so can you imagine if that wasn't there? Those are North Pole arborvitaes. If I didn't have that in there, it would be pretty, but it needs something dark behind it to really make it stand out. And I think it does that. And I love limbing these things up and then doing that creates more growing space down here. I could have let it go all the way to the ground and that would have been beautiful, but having these shrubs that I've turned into multi-stem trees gives me the opportunity to plant beneath them and create kind of special moments underneath them. And I'm really, really excited about this little spot. I've already bought my plant, so I'll share that with you in another video. And before I let you go, I want to show you this. My hardy banana musabaju is just performing like crazy. I don't water her either, and they're very thirsty plants, but she seems very happy. A little wind worn. I mean, the leaves split and the whole thing. That's what they do to keep them. That's what they're supposed to do when they're in the jungle. The wind whips them up and they get shredded, but it prevents the tree from being broken. But directly here, behind it, let me change here, that is a purple pillar Rosa Sharon. And so the shade that is cast by my musabaju and then also my Jack Frost Northwind maple over here really has shaded out my purple pillar Rosa Sharon. And this is a nice Rosa Sharon for narrow spaces, but it grows quite tall. I think it'll reach 15 feet. It's not getting enough sun. It is flowering. Such pretty flowers. But I'm gonna move this to a sunnier spot in the front yard in the next couple weeks. So that is what's happening in my late August, early September garden. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the tour, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.